Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I am Cyclo Hexanol, commentating with Elise Randolph for a match of Stay Frosty against Teplis Calsf. Elise, what can you tell us about these teams?
These guys are both Lowsec dwellers, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think there's going to be a little bit of a reputation on the line, right? So Templis do work around faction warfare, Stay Frosty just like the pirate, and sometimes they dabble in faction warfare. So it's going to be a nice little Lowsec grudge match. I'm quite excited. Templis, captained by the last Spartan, they've had some really good success in alliance tournaments before and other just random Eve competitive scenes. They're really strong guys, and I think they kind of go under the radar quite a bit.
Yes, and these are two very, I'd say, aggressively mid-tier teams that a lot of teams try and match up against. And here we can now see the bans and the picks. Both teams have actually decided to ban the same strong setup that we've seen from a lot of teams. That's the Brutix Navy Demos core with a faction cruiser. What can you tell us about the picks, Elise?
These captains definitely were thinking very similar thoughts right now. They both picked the same archetype and they both banned the same archetype that each team has, right? So you can see this Templis team, they took a Vigil, Stork, Flycatcher as their support wing with Caracal, Cerb, Drake Navy. This Drake Navy issue is such a brick to shoot through. And obviously the rest of the ships are also not a thing to slouch about. So their MO is like kite around, pick people off with their missiles. And it looks like Stay Frosty did something very similar with a bit of a tweak. Do you want to break that down for us?
Yes, Stay Frosty decided to bring the Talwar for a little bit of extra damage instead of the Vigil, which should be interesting to see play out since those Drake Navy issues are generally going to be heavy missile fit. It'll be interesting to see if those paints actually help the team out. The fact that these comps are so similar is amazing because we're going to get to see the piloting and the minor fitting differences really kind of break down the match here and be the deciding factor of who comes out on top.
Yeah, so these teams each have 5 comps, right, that they have to announce beforehand. They don't announce the fittings to one another, but they announce the comps to one another. And before the match, each team gets to ban one, and obviously you get to know what the ban is, and then they don't announce what their pick is. So these two teams have no idea that they're about to fly what is essentially a mirror matchup. And so it's all going to come down to these slight little differences in how these teams theory crafted, how they practiced, and all that jazz. So I'm really interested to see what different decisions these guys are going to make, or if they're going to make the same decisions again. My gut tells me that Stay Frosty has they're going to kind of focus on getting the smaller stuff away first, and that Templis, who you see on the right in blue, are going to try and take down the bigger ships first.
Yes, and with that, we are launching into the match. Let's just take a quick look here. Looks like the Stay Frosty team is speeding up really quickly. Stay Frosty, of course, burning away and starbursting a little bit. Templis does not seem to be moving that much. In fact, I don't see a lot of prop mod action from anything on their team. And the last Spartan just started moving in the Cerberus. He was stuck at 0 MS. But they're generally seeming to be pretty happy staying away from each other. And we're going to really see how this application war plays out here.
Yeah, it looks like Templis is just trying to poke at the Stay Frosty team as they're pulling away. Both guys are trying to decide, hey, what do we do in this situation, right? So Templis is shooting down this Talwar now of the Stay Frosty side. They poked a little bit at the Navy Caracal just to see what would happen. And on the other side, Stay Frosty are going for the Flycatcher, or at least trying to position themselves to maybe take down some of this small support.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. We just now saw a target painter go out onto Cerberus from the Templis Vigil, theoretically, right? And that took a little while to send out, but Templis is definitely doing the right thing here by starting to go for the Cerberus. And just as I say that, they're switching the paints over to the Talwar to try and drop that before going after the heavy core. I'm not quite sure about that decision myself.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a debate. They just see Random McNally maybe a little bit out of position here. Obviously, this Talwar is super fast, right? And it gets a low sig radius as well. But with this painter from the Vigil, just a target of opportunity, he's going to go down, and that's going to be a significant amount of just DPS and burst down from the Stay Frosty side if he actually does drop here, which he does.
Oh yeah, and in this tournament, the destroyer piloting is probably some of the hardest piloting they can do due to the lack of logistics. These ships, even with the Talwar's lower sig, they can drop so quickly because they have frigate-based DHP but their SIG is quite a bit higher, so it makes things difficult for them.
Yeah, we can see this Vigil piloting on the Templis side is really, really good. He's all the way back trying to just not die, right? Because he knows that his paint is vital to his team's projection. But Stay Frosty, you know what? They're unloading on this Flycatcher piloted by Safoy. And we see Safoy just dropped his speed all the way down, hoping he doesn't just bloom his SIG at all.
Yes, and I don't actually believe that Flycatcher has a prop mod, so that's actually going to mitigate or get rid of a lot of the damage that he could potentially mitigate from his opponents.
I don't want to break in too much, but Rick's Javix's Navy Drake is tanking right now. Templis just traded a Flycatcher for the whole shield and armor of a Navy Drake. What a goddamn good exchange that is. My goodness, they're going to really like that one. Let's see if Rick's Javix can survive a little bit longer here.
Rick's Javix, he looks like he's possibly propping away, trying to limit some of that damage. But if they manage to trade the Flycatcher for the Navy Drake, this could be the end of Stay Frosty, with the Navy Drake now going down.
What a huge trade that was! That Navy Drake is just gone on Rick's Javis's Stay Frosty side. They're definitely not going to like that trade at all. Talwar for Flycatcher, sure, that's fine. You'll take it all day. But Navy Drake, oh no, you need that ship.
The question here now is, can Stay Frosty pull it off? They should have theoretically better application than the Teplis Calsf team, since we don't see a lot of speed from that team, so the Teplis Calsf team can't mitigate the damage with speed due to the amount of missiles that we're seeing in this matchup. And as I'm saying that, the Navy Caracal is just tanking through shields, and it looks like he's running an XLASB to try to stay up the Caracal Navy of Hun Tra.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing that you brought up a good point. I mean, when we're comparing this Templis team to the Stay Frosty team, the ship types look very similar, but everything else is completely different, right? Templis are not propping at all, which makes me think that they're all brick tanked. Stay Frosty have all mic warp drives and ASBs on all their ships, it seems. So they're going for like an active tank type thing. Templis just says, hey, here's a bunch of bricks, shoot whatever you want, we're going to kill the rest later. And that strategy seems to be working.
Yeah, and I don't know what was going on with that Navy Drake. I thought I saw some repping going out, but it just started taking a massive amount of damage. It's possible that it wasn't actually an XLASB and it was a smaller rep, but that fitting decision may have costed Stay Frosty the match here.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a really, really good twist by this Teplis Calsf team. They say, hey, you know what you might be seeing, but here's a nice little wrinkle. We're just going to be all brick tanks, right? And it looks like the Stay Frosty side, their DPS has just stopped. They must be having like rapid lights or something, because the damage application on this Navy Caracal from the Templis side is just not going anywhere. He's just staying at like 15% shield.
With a lot of these Navy Drake teams, you'll see like the full heavy missile setup in the top three ships: your Navy Caracal, your Cerb, and your Drake. However, it is possible that the Cerberus did go for the rapid lights, which will still have good range with the Cerb. However, that burst damage might not be able to keep as much damage throughout the entire matchup, which could be helping Templis a little bit here. And to be honest, at the very beginning, I questioned the speed of Templis, and I thought that this was going to be a win for Stay Frosty just because of the lack of mitigation from Templis, but the ability for them to actually brick tank their ships by not having 50 MN micro warp drives on their cruisers and battle cruisers may have really helped them out here. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you, definitely. I think Templis just outplayed, outdrafted, out everything the Stay Frosty side. And that's not to say the Stay Frosty side is a lower tier team. They have a lot of experience. This is just all credit goes to the last Spartan and his boys for theory crafting what is a pretty great setup. Something you definitely don't expect coming into it. And as you can see, this Navy Caracal on the Templis side, it got really, really low, and then the damage just stops.
Yeah, and
so he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there in structure while this poor Cerb just has to reload.
And with this, this can kind of tell us that it is like that rapid light fit, right? Due to the lack of damage, either the Navy Caracal was able to skillfully pull back past the rapid light range, or the Cerb is in reload, right?
Yeah, and so, these Cerbs, they have the assault damage control. The Stay Frosty Cerb does have the XL ASB, it looks like, or at least a large ASB. So he's going to be tanky for quite some time. Good call on both sides for avoiding this Cerb until the very end, because it's just such a damage sink. But man, oh man, Templis, they're going to have to feel really good about this win.
We can see the Cerb right now. He's sending out volleys very quickly. This is, in fact, a rapid light fit. And also with the Templis team, something we can see is that they have a lot of experience with these shield setups in the Alliance tournament. They often have these interesting Rattlesnake or Scorpion Navy issue comps. So this is within their wheelhouse. This is their ballpark. This is something that they're used to pulling off. And I'm wondering if Stay Frosty's new to this kind of setup.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have practiced quite extensively, but I think you're right. I think the Templis this is their comfort pick for them, and that's something that you want to see when you come out for your first match, right? You just want to have a comfortable setup that you can execute, no questions asked. And I think Templis just had a really good wrinkle in their setup, something that maybe these other teams might not expect. So props to them; they take it very convincingly.